Hello everyone, so welcome to today's video. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're talking about some products that I've been testing out over the last few months. I wanted to do a roundup video sharing with you my thoughts on some of these products. Some I've had for over a month, some are more recent that I have been testing out that have been released for the new 2023 holiday season, and I just wanted to do a roundup of these products and kind of touch base with you because I've used some of these quite a bit, so I have formulated more opinions than just a first impressions. At this point, I have been able to sort of continue testing these products off camera and on camera. I do post videos twice a week, but I also wear makeup every single day where I can test products, mix them with different things, formulate more thoughts on things, and just really kind of share with you what my thoughts are after using a product for a month, 2 months. And I think it's important to come back and do these types of videos because I think it's going to be very helpful for those of you who are interested in these products to really see what it's like, not just a first impression, I'm using it for the first time and it's great for a review, but am I really reaching for this? That's the question. I'm going to kick this video off with complexion products first and then kind of move through the different categories as I would apply them, so in that order. So starting off with foundation, I have to talk about the Smashbox Always On Foundation. It's what I'm wearing today. I have the shade F30N, and I honestly, when I first took this out of the box, I thought it was too dark. I thought I matched myself wrong, but it actually is a very good match for me. It's almost spot on. So I feel like the match is good. And it's sort of a formula that's kind of growing on me. If you read the claims on this product, it's supposed to be a sort of natural finish, but hydrating at the same time, controlling oil because it has like a built-in thermostat for the skin where it sort of adapts throughout the day with the heat from your skin. I don't know if I really buy into all that or if that's just some sort of marketing type of jargon to get people to buy product. But what I will say that this does look really pretty and very fresh on the skin. When I first apply it, it looks very natural. And as the day progresses, it sort of starts to get a little bit more dewy. I wouldn't say that it is super dewy and oily looking where I have to pair this with a powder or I have to blot at some point throughout the day. I do think that the level of dewiness that this gives me is enough for me to continue on without feeling like I need to take a moment to pause and reevaluate, reassess what's going on, and retouch my makeup. It's fine for me. If you have very oily skin, then you may want to use this on top of a mattifying primer or maybe use a setting powder or a translucent powder over the top to really lock this in, and then a setting spray to keep everything together. So I think it's a good formula for most skin types. If you have dry skin, I think you will like this. The formula blends in so incredibly well. And I think that if you can find a match when you apply this foundation, that's to me what is sort of the most shocking is the fact that when I blend this in, I can't really tell it's on my skin. It looks like a perfect match. It blends in seamlessly and it just gets a little bit more dewy as the day progresses in a good way. So I actually have been reaching for this more often than I thought. When I did my first impressions, I thought it was nice. I thought it was pretty. But then when I started seeing a little bit of dewiness, I didn't think it was that special, but it is growing on me. And I've been using this pretty much daily since posting my video. And I do still kind of go back to my Double Wear from Estee Lauder. I still use my NARS foundations. I still reach for my Merit Stick, which I love. And I feel like this one is right up there. It's becoming one of my favorites, one of my go-tos. And I do like the fact that there's some skincare in there. There's hyaluronic acid to hydrate the skin. And it's supposed to be a balancing foundation with a natural finish. I do like the pump, the clear glass. I think it's very sort of sleek looking. So, shifting gears to concealers, I have 2 of them. I put both of these head to head when they first came out. The Haus concealer and the Makeup by Mario concealer. I have shade 140 in Makeup by Mario and 11 neutral in Haus. I will say the Haus is a little dark. I feel like I probably should have gone maybe a step down from this or maybe 2 shades down. However, I have both of these mixed together and it's a beautiful combo. I have the coverage and the skincare benefits of Haus and then the full coverage long wear quality of this and the brightness that this gives me in the innermost corner portion of my eye, and then Haus on the outer. So I'm getting best of both worlds. I do like them both. I think for me, the Makeup by Mario looks the most flawless, the most brightening out of the 2. This one has more of like a skin-like finish. Not to say that the Mario is heavier and looks like makeup, but you can just tell that it's much more perfected and a much more full coverage. I think what blew me away with the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Concealer was the fact that when I did my wear test and my first impressions video, I used a brush, one from BK Beauty. Then I tried it again with a sponge and I got the same effect as I did with brushes. Typically when you use damp sponges, it tends to absorb excess product and it tends to eat up more of your product. So you go through your stuff more, your concealers, your foundations, because you need more of it to get the same effect than if you were to just start off with a brush. So when I use the Anissa brush, this is the angle concealer brush, to really spread this Makeup by Mario product, I kind of spread it. This brush is perfect, by the way, for getting right in the innermost corner of the eye and spreading this and blending it out, tapping it out with the sponge. I literally was blown away that I was able to get full coverage with a brush, but then when I used just my sponge, start to finish with my whole blending, it literally looked the same. The coverage was just, it's there. It's full coverage. This, however, is lighter. If I use a sponge with the Haus concealer, it's a little bit thinner. If I want to retain the coverage that this gives, which I would say it's a medium coverage, I have to use a brush and then tap that out, because the sponge does sort of tone down the amount of coverage that I get from this. And it could also be the fact that the color is just a little dark. If it were a shade lighter, maybe it would be a little different, but I just feel like the coverage isn't as full as the Makeup by Mario, but I do like them both. But I would have to say the Makeup by Mario is just still my #1 pick out of those two. Now we're going into blush bronzer category. I have to briefly talk about the Haus bronzer. This was a purchase that I did at the very beginning of September, and I bought light level 2. And I ended up getting this when I went to Sephora to do some birthday shopping. My birthday is Labor Day weekend. And I picked up light level 2, which the shade is a little light. I am wearing it today. I feel like I should have gotten my shade a little bit darker, maybe a shade up or 2 shades up, because this, although it's light level 2, the formula is beautiful. I wish that I would have tried this sooner. That's my only thing. Gotten the color a little bit deeper and tried this sooner, because it literally is, it's a dream to work with. It's velvety, it's smooth. It goes on the skin without looking harsh. It doesn't have like these weird lines of not being able to blend into my foundation. I put this directly over foundation without setting the foundation. The finish of it, it looks like skin. It just is such a beautiful formula. And if you have not tried the Haus bronzer, I highly recommend that you do. This has quickly become one of my go-tos, one that I reach for a lot in my collection. I just love this formula, and I do think that if I were to purchase maybe a shade or 2 darker, I would be even more in love with it, but I can still make this light level 2 work with my skin tone. I'm wearing it today over the Smashbox, so when I use this over something that's more light, like my year-round type of shades in my foundations, I can definitely notice this. But if I get any more color, let's say next summer, this is not going to work for me. I would have to get a darker shade, but the formula is just velvety and smooth and easy to blend, and it's a powder. Love the compact. I like it. I'm here for it. I like it. Obsessed. Moving on to some Hourglass. How pretty is this owl packaging? It's beautiful. I love the outside packaging. I think that I could just stare at this all day. There's just something so beautiful about owls, and so just majestic and interesting about owls. It's beautiful. Take a look at it. It's really, really nice. Now, the inside, I will say that it was kind of, I think the packaging to me was just a huge letdown, because it's just very sort of flimsy. And I talked about this in its own dedicated video where I did an application. I did a review of the shades. I swatched them. I talked all about this. So if you haven't seen that video, the cards above this video will take you to that. So you can really see this in action. I have been reaching for it. I am wearing the highlighter today, and that is giving me that intense glow. That is pretty daggone glowy for Hourglass. Hourglass has that very ethereal sort of lit from within type of quality where the formulas are just spectacular. I think that they give you a really great formula with their powders, their blushes, their bronzers. I just feel like, I don't know, I felt like the packaging and the flimsiness of it just kind of ruined somewhat of the experience. Now the formula itself, let's just touch on that. It's great. It blends very well. I think that the bronzer is just a little too yellow based for me. I don't know what it is about the bronzer. It's not terrible. I still use it, and I've been wearing this a lot since I posted the video. I'm gonna use this because I paid full price, 90 bucks for this thing. So I am gonna use this. I will say that some of these shades may be repeats. So if you're interested in this, take a look at your collection if you have a lot of Hourglass and sort of compare. This is the Color Story number 1. It came out with 3 different ones. 3 is the deepest one that has the more kind of sultry, very warm tone kind of colors that I almost bought. And I went into all the details about all the color stories in the video that I did on this, but I have been using this. I used this powder today to set my primer for eyeshadow. I'm wearing this highlighter. I've been reaching for this a lot. I think it's really pretty. And I also like the fact that it's all in one, so it kind of knocks out a bunch of my steps in one palette. So it makes getting ready easy. As I've often said before, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 kids, only 1 goes to school. So I have 3 little toddlers on my hands, and I have to get ready pretty quickly. I have very little time during the day to do my makeup, and having something like this is beneficial because I can get ready pretty quickly. But I just feel like, I don't know, the packaging just kind of, I wish it was a little bit better. The formula is great. Is it worth 90 bucks? If you have nothing from Hourglass and you want to dip your toe into their formulas and their brand, I would say go for it. But if you have a lot of Hourglass, I'd say skip it because you're not really getting anything that spectacular or different on the inside as far as colors and the variety that's provided in here. So now we get to talk about some eyeshadows. I'm going to start with a palette that has some eyeshadows, 4, and then blushes all kind of combined. This is actually one of my more recent video uploads that you may have already seen. The card section above this video will take you to this specific review if you're interested. It's the Patrick Ta Major Holiday Palette. I think the colors are beautiful. Okay, so let me just show you the inside of it. So I think the colors are really beautiful in this palette. The glitters are pretty, very special, very kind of dazzling, very eye-catching. I do like it. I think I like the look that I've created with these, and I've been playing with this a lot. I've been playing with the creams. I've been playing with the powder together separately, and I feel like the more I use it, the more disappointed I am. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, and I'm not trying to come for the brand, or if you love their products, by all means continue using it. But I just feel like these brighter pops of Barbie pink, I have a lot of those shades. That was a trend that we saw earlier this summer because of the Barbie movie. So there was a whole movement towards like these bright bubblegum pink shades. It's everywhere. It literally is everywhere. You can find these shades in other brands. So I wanted to take a moment to just pause right here, the video, and show you some swatches. I had this thought in the back of my mind. So I started digging through my collection and I found some swatches that were very similar. So here are the swatches of the shades that I found in my collection that match the color in the Patrick Ta Holiday Palette. It's the Candy Clouds from Too Faced and the Persona blush in the shade Bubble, which is the powder version of the cream. As you can see, they're pretty close. So here is the swatches of the Patrick Ta more magenta shade with the cream, and I also decided to sort of match it up with some other shades in my collection to see if I could find that match. And while this in the center is the Persona Jam Stick, the cream version, it's a little blurry. I do apologize for that. It's not an exact match, but it's very similar in tone when you blend it out to what's in the Patrick Ta Holiday Palette. And then here is the swatches of the Persona Bubble Stick, the cream, and then the Denona Myricks Yummy Skin Balm. They came out with the holiday collections that we're releasing at Sephora this year. So here it is, the Denona Myricks in the pan, so you can see it up close with that magenta shade. And then here is the Persona Bubble Stick. So here's some options in case you wanted this palette and you have some of these other products, you have dupes. I also decided to sort of compare palettes. The first one that came to mind recently was from Charlotte Tilbury, the Beautyverse palette. So here's the 2 palettes side by side so you can see them. And then I decided to swatch the more purpley pinky type of shades so you can see how they sort of look together. They're very, very similar. And then I did end up swatching the more champagne-y type of shades that I thought kind of matched from both of the palettes. So as you can see, the shades are not that unique in the Patrick Ta palette, so they're very similar, very comparable. So now you have some options if you're considering either one of these palettes. I was disappointed when I took this out of the packaging and saw that the glitter was just literally everywhere. It was a mess when I took it out of the shipping box. I just didn't appreciate that because It took time for me to have to clean this off, and glitter gets everywhere. If you've ever experienced using glitter for makeup or even like doing crafts with glitter, it literally goes in every little crack and crevice you can imagine. So, okay? So it's just not a pleasant thing to clean up, and I do appreciate the clear flap in this because it keeps the glitter from going in there, and I think that's genius because this glitter from these shadows gets everywhere. The moment you touch it, it just flies everywhere. You put a brush in it, it's like a glitter dust cloud. It's just hard to work with, and it's just something that I don't know. I just feel like the more I use it, the more I'm disappointed, the more fussy it becomes. And as a stay-at-home mom, as I just talked about, I don't have time for fussy type of products. You know, I need things to just be quick and easy and just to perform from the moment I start applying my makeup. And I need it to wear well. The creams have a very emollient, almost lip balm glossy finish, and it completely just sort of made my foundation look patchy. It lifted off everything that I put underneath it. This has a high level of pigment, and I think it's just a little too much for me personally. And listen, I love blush. I have a whole drawer dedicated to blush, and it is quickly overflowing. I think more is more when it comes to blush. And for me to say that this is too pigmented for my fair skin, that means it's just too much of a punch. I don't know, I just feel like I'm more disappointed, and I just feel like I don't see myself reaching for this as much as I thought I would. So there it is. Not terrible, but it's something that I don't see myself using a lot. Now, something I do see myself using a lot, and I'm currently wearing right now on my eyes, is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Beautyverse palette. I am partial to this brand. I'm going to say it from the jump because I love this brand. I love everything about it. I am rarely ever disappointed with anything from Charlotte Tilbury, and I have a lot of her products, and I just love this palette. Yes, they have glitter in them, but it's easier to manage. There's less pigment in these glitters than the Patrick Ta ones, but there are some similar tones like this one here. These kind of purpley shades. It's kind of giving me some of those Patrick Ta vibes, but these are a little bit less pigmented. Still has that intensity of the glitter, but it's just easier to work with. And you have a topper. You have this one here that's more kind of like a silvery blue with intense metallic pigment. It's creamy, it's buttery, it's everything you want it to be. These mattes are beautiful. They're creamy. They have like a subtle kind of sheen to it because of that creamy emolliency to it, but they blend like powders. You use brushes and apply them like you would a powder, and they wear like powders, but they feel creamy, very velvety, different, completely different than other products and brands that I have in my collection. I used this today, and I kid you not, I did my entire eye look using all of these mattes and then this purple shade on my lid. I literally did that in like 2 minutes, tops. It's just easy. These mattes, they blend themselves, and I feel like this is a much more cohesive palette, not only because you get the glitters, but it's grounded by some mattes, and you have a cool tone, you have a mid-tone that's kind of more neutral, and then a more warm tone, and then you have this nice bit of pink, which actually is a flattering pink. I have that under my eyes, and I have that also blended with these into the crease. And I feel like it creates a very balanced look, whereas the Patrick Ta, I have to bring in this palette or something else to make that work for a complete look. So I don't see myself reaching for that. Again, for those, that's another reason. But this one, I can do a whole look start to finish with it and be completely happy with it. Still have that glitter impact, but not have the fallout. I didn't have to clean up anything under my eyes using this. And I use my finger to apply the purple eyeshadow and a brush for the mattes. And it's beautiful. The packaging on the outside, it's a 10 out of 10. Everything about it, I love it. I'm here for it. Love. I do have to give a shout out though to my Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I bought this not that long ago actually. I was late to the Yucca party, I know, because this came out at the beginning of summer, I believe, or the tail end of spring. This palette to me feels more fall-like because of the warm tones, because of the greens. But let me tell you, the metallic colors in this palette are just, it's another level. I adore this palette, and I am not one to wear greens very often. But this palette gets me loving the greens, the dirty olives, the dirty martini type of shades, the deeper greens. This one's a little bit more of like a teal. This bright one here, which is so fun. It can really just add pizzazz to a very simple look. I can do like a warm tone kind of crease action here and then throw in one of these more metallic shades and then add this just like in the inner corner for a pop, smudge it on the lower lashes, and it literally takes that look to a whole nother level. This shade right here though, Elysian, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this is, oh my gosh, it's like a gunmetal metallic just liquid metal with a touch of like a purpley sort of tone to it. And it just seems a little odd, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, to be in a palette with greens and warm tones and those kind of, I dare I say, pukey type of shades. I don't know, I have a 1-year-old, so baby stuff is like my 24/7 daily life, but that's probably not the best way to describe these colors. Pukey tones are not really, just not it, right? But I do really like this palette, and this color is just dynamite. It's like a metallic creaminess, but it is smooth. There is that sort of reflective quality. There's some in here that have a duochrome finish to it with a bit of sparkle. And honestly, I would take the money from the Patrick Ta, which is $65, and put that towards one of these. These are $69, but it's expensive. The packaging to manufacture, I'm sure, is costly. The formula is some of the best that money can buy at Sephora. Like, honestly, love everything about it. And I love this palette for taking me out of my comfort zone and bringing a little bit more color into my everyday makeup. And I didn't think I was gonna like the greens, but when I kept seeing this on Instagram, I'm like, something is like, something in the universe is telling me I have to own this. So I got it, and I actually really do love it. I knew the quality was gonna be A+ because it's Natasha Denona. Her stuff is amazing. And then of course, the I Need a Nude. Do I need to say more? Like, it is just truly, it's everything in a palette. It literally is me, every single color from the first one to the very last one, and there is nothing lacking in this palette. There's nothing that I am missing out on. So just take a look at her. Look at her in all her glory. She is just beautiful. I reach for this all the time. Today I made myself use the Beautyverse because this is more recent, but I absolutely adore this palette. And I just feel like it's more everyday. And I used this when I did my family portraits because I knew I could get a look that I was going to love. I knew that it was going to wear well from start to finish. It does not fade. The way these go on when you first apply it to when you go to take your makeup off at the end of the day, whether it's 8 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours later, they're just as intense as they were the moment you applied them. So her formula is some of the best that I've tried, and they're quickly have become like just my go-tos. I've been expanding my Natasha Denona collection lately, and I just love it. These two shades here, the Sheen and the Mia shade, Maya, they have that sort of glittery finish with a more light, slightly translucent base to it, which gives me that topper sort of sparkle without being messy, without having like glitter chunks just flying everywhere. It truly is a very special formula that I feel like truly 100% is worth every single penny. And if you have not tried Natasha Denona and you're kind of wondering what palette is great to start off with, if you like these sort of everyday tones, there's a little bit of warmth, there's some cool tones in here, there's some bronzy looks, there's some sparkles in here. If you like that kind of vibe, you will absolutely adore this palette. And I think, like I said, it is worth every single penny, and I do not regret purchasing this at all. Last two products, I'm going to show the mascara that I've been using. I'm wearing this today. It's the Tower 28 Make Waves Mascara. This one actually kind of started growing on me when I did it for the first time on camera for first impressions, like a new makeup type of video. I wasn't quite wowed by it, but I feel like the more I use it, the better it's getting. And I think it's one of those formulas that the more it sits in your collection, the better it gets. And of course, you know, mascaras that need to be replaced every 3 months. I would say I've had this open for probably a good 2 to 3 weeks at this point. And I feel like it's gotten better from the first use to today. It's like using a whole different mascara. So it does get better as it sort of sits and gets a little bit old in your collection. And I do think that it looks really nice. It fans out the lashes. I don't get any clumps with it. And I do feel like I can see myself purchasing this in the future. Will this replace the Iliad Limitless mascara if I'm thinking about clean umbrella of makeup at Sephora? No, I think I would still prefer that over this because I feel like that gives me a whole lot more drama to the lashes than this does. This won't replace my Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury, but I would buy this again and I would use it and I would recommend it because it's a good one and it wears well, it doesn't flake off, and it's also easy to remove at night, so I do like that. And then the last product to wrap up this video is my lip for the day. This is the Italian Marble lipstick from Laura Geller in the shade Berry Banana, and I am just nuts about this color. It's a little bit deeper, but still very wearable, still everyday. I have it paired with a Rare Beauty lip liner underneath. And I've honestly been using just this on its own with nothing else, and it could not be easier. It's creamy. It has a bit of a kind of gloss finish to the formula. It's not quite glossy like a lip oil or a lip gloss, but there is something to it. Do you see that gloss there? And it's so comfortable to use. I have the other shade in this range called Berry Vanilla, and that's more pink. And that is like my everyday go-to. That with the Pillow Talk Lip Cheat Pencil from Charlotte Tilbury, that's like my perfect everyday combo. It literally goes with everything, whether I'm wearing no eyeshadow to a full smoky eye. It's the perfect lip pairing, and it looks beautiful with everything that I wear, and it complements my fair skin tone, which is another plus for me. The formula is beautiful on these. I also like the upgraded packaging. It has that magnetic closure, which is so satisfying because my old one does not have that. And although the packaging is not like that important when it comes to lipsticks for me personally, but that bonus of having that sort of magnetic closure, that just kind of takes it over the edge for me. So I do really like these, and I do think that they're reasonably priced for the formula. And I think it's pretty cool how it looks like it's marbled and looks just really pretty, and it's different. And all of the shades that are in this range have that sort of marbled look where there's two different shades. When you apply it and mix it together, it gives you a different look. And this one, like I said, is the Berry Banana. So pretty. All right, so that is it. That is the entire video. I hope that this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Everything is going to be listed and linked for you down below for your shopping list for the next trip that you take to Sephora. You can take my list with you and shop all of my favorites. I will have everything down below for you. You can follow me on Instagram. It's always here on the screen. We can be friends and chat. Share with me your favorites. What products are you looking forward to? What new launches are you buying? Are you eyeing for the Sephora sale that's coming up? And let's just chat and talk about it in the comment section. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.